Hello. How are you guys doing? Happy beginning to your new week, Monday. Okay, before we get into this, let me just get out my moment of frustration. It is currently 9:17 p.m. on Sunday evening, and I have been attempting to upload my vlog all day long today, which I didn't think would end up being that long last night, and it ended up being an hour and 50 minutes. So I am now on the third attempt at uploading it, and it says it's at 45%, and it says I still have 2 hours left. So I'm like, I have no idea when I'm gonna get it up. I've kind of been just sitting around the house waiting for it to upload. I even laid down for an hour. I got up, it was like at 11% or something, and then I sat there, and Alex was watching the Iron Fist or something he's watching, the second season of it. And then he started talking to his friend Sarah on the phone. So I broke out that James Patterson book. Okay, so I'm starting to read the one quickie, and I was actually at 63 pages when I stopped it like several months ago. So I reread the 63 pages, and I read another chapter, so now I'm on like page 65. I sat there and read it with Pee-Pee on my lap, and got that reread because I wanted to get into that book again. And it's funny, like, you find something out about the female character in it, like, right at that page, or, like, right when they go in the crime scene, and I had forgotten, like, you would think that you would remember something like that, but when I was rereading, I remembered, like, most of the beginning, and that it was about an affair and stuff like that, but I had forgotten, like, something about her. So anyway, which is basically probably the whole book, you know? Anyway, so I started reading that again, got that done. Then it was at like 45%, and I was like, I cannot do this anymore. I cannot sit around here. So I was like, I'm just gonna go and start vlogging, because I'm not gonna wait for this to go up, and then I'll vlog for like an hour, and then I'll go home. And I'm probably gonna make tonight's vlog a little shorter, because I know you guys are gonna be catching up, because it's getting up so late today. So I apologize. I've been trying to get it up earlier, but now it's like people are gonna have to catch up for 3 hours anyway. It just, oh well, it's just one of those things that happens in life, right? So, and then I might go work out later. I didn't think that I would today, because today was my cheat day, and I honestly thought like that we would go to brunch, and then like I would come home and probably make videos or take a nap. I came home today, I was gonna do a Q&A with Alex, but he was really exhausted all day today, and so I didn't even honestly ask him if he would want to do one. And then I was gonna just do it by myself, and I thought, you know what, we'll just do it sometime this week or next weekend and put it up. I screenshot all the questions that I got, so I have all the questions saved that I put up on Instagram. But anyway, so today I woke up and we got back from the brunch late, and I just was like, you know what, I'm just gonna not make videos today and just relax with my husband and the dogs. And we did. We just had a really nice, relaxing day. It was fun. And didn't really do a whole lot of anything, honestly. And one of the things I did today, people are constantly asking me, like, I noticed, like, I talked about this last night on my vlog, but about like the Morningstar like sausages that I got, or like people will say, like, I have the Eddie Bauer slippers on right now. People will ask me like, you know, like, oh, well, where did you get those slippers, or what brand are they, or do they have like soles on them, or whatever. And, you know, or people will, I get a lot of questions, honestly, about like, my husband is calling me. Hold on just a second, let me call him back. Okay, I'm back. He's going to Denny's with Sarah, his best friend. I put in a new, what do you call it, air freshener thing. This is pine or fir. It's the Febreze one. It smells really good. I will tell you that the lifespan on those is about a week and a half. They're not long. So I thought they would be longer than that, but no. I think the Yankee Candle ones say that they're like 30 days, and that is not true whatsoever. So what was I talking about? I don't know. So anyway, I don't even remember what I was talking about. The vlog, the book. Oh, okay, but with my, like, I thought today, on my cheat day, I thought, I would kind of go overboard. I thought like I would, you know, probably like go to brunch and then come home and then get something and then like ice cream or something like that because it was my cheat day, right? Well, I got hungry later tonight, but I was like, I'm not gonna go out and eat something bad. Like, I'm not gonna do this today. And one of the things, I'll talk about my weight what I weighed in today in just a second. But so for dinner tonight, I made like 2 of those Morningstar sausage patties. Oh, I know what I was talking about in just a second, but let me tell you this first. So for dinner, I had 2 of the Morningstar sausage patties, and then I had a banana and some of those tomatoes, and then I was completely content. I was like, okay, that's it. That's all I need to have. And then I was like really wanting to go work out. I was like, I didn't feel sore at all today. I thought I would be so sore today. I'm not sore at all. So I feel really good today. But anyway, I always get questions from people like, oh, what's a cologne for my husband? Or, you know, like, somebody just asked me the other day, like a beard oil that I should use, and all this kind of stuff. So I always see this on Instagram, how people have these like Amazon stores, you know, if they use affiliate codes. And if you go to like my, like if you ever buy like a book that I link underneath, like the Codependent No More or whatever, I use affiliate codes through Amazon, which means if you buy like a $15 book, I think I make something like 13 cents or something. I have no idea what it is. But anyway, but I go through there and I use that. And I always put underneath there and disclose that this is an affiliate link. So if you buy it from this, I make small compensation is what I say. But anyway, I've seen that like different people like, you know, have these Amazon stores, and then they just like list all their stuff on there that they talk about, right? And I was like, I want to do that, and then I can just like, when I'm reviewing stuff, if it's something that I like, or if it's something that I'm talking about consistently, like those, you know, black plastic Birkenstocks, or the cologne that I wear, or whatever, or a book that I consistently use, then I can just link it on there, and people can either go and then they can see it, and they can buy it like, you know, locally, or they can buy it on Amazon, you know, it's like, so it'll be simple that way. So I went in there today, and I set up my Amazon store. And it only right now has like 8 things on it. It's not even a store. It's not called the Amazon store is like where you sell things off of there. This is just where I have links of other people's products, if that makes sense. So I just go in there and I just like link their thing on there. But I just pick out like the products that I want to be on there. So far the different lists that I have on my page is shoes, beauty, which doesn't have any products in it yet, men's grooming, shoes, men's grooming, beauty, and books. And like I have all the Melody Beatty books on there, and then I have the Linda Picone Book of Positive Quotations on there. And I'm gonna put the other meditation books that I use on there as well. And then if I talk about a book and I really, really love it, I'll put it on there. That way people can find it easier, things like that. So anyway, yeah. I did that today. That was kind of fun, actually. And then, I ate the dinner. So, okay, so anyway, so we got up today, and, we met Sarah at Catashoe for brunch, and we got there at like 2:15, something like that. And, I had my omelet, the omelet you can't refuse, and then I had, potatoes and a bagel, and I ate everything. I ate everything. I was hungry today. And then I had coffee. Oh my God, the coffee was so delicious there today. I don't even remember what it was. It was something I'd never had from there before. They always have different kinds of coffee there. Well, there was one that I had never had. It was so good. And, oh, I still have it in here. Here, let me see if I can taste it and tell you what it is. It kind of tastes a little like chocolatey berry, but I don't remember what it was. It's good though. Anyway. We did that, and that was it. We came home. But anyway, it's interesting that, I don't know, I'm sure like down the road, like on, you know, my weight loss journey and stuff, that I'll have cheat days that I just like cheat like crazy. But I just didn't really feel like it today. I don't know. Maybe it's because it just hasn't been that many days I've been doing this or whatever. But anyway, okay, so I woke up this morning and I weighed myself and I was 226 pounds, which is the thinnest that I've been in a very long time for me. And I like weighed in at 226 like a couple weeks ago, but then before that was like the lowest I had been, and then I hadn't gone lower than that. And so anyway, what I've decided that I'm gonna do as far as look at my hair today. What I've decided that I'm gonna do, this is called being in bed all day long, for like discussing my weight on here or doing weigh-ins or whatever. And I'm not doing weigh-ins on a vlog and all that kind of stuff because I weigh myself naked, because that's how you're supposed to do it, and I ain't getting naked on no vlog, okay? Now I know y'all are begging for it, but it's not gonna happen. As if. I am going to weigh myself, like I'm gonna talk about my weigh-in. If I weigh myself every day, 10 times a day between then, I'm not gonna talk about it on here. I'm just gonna talk about it on Tuesdays. So Tuesdays are gonna be my weigh-in day because I started my weight loss journey last Tuesday. That's when I weighed in at 234.6. So that's gonna be the day that I get on here and I talk about it. So, you know, going forward, I'm just gonna talk about my weight on Tuesday, like my scale weight on Tuesdays. Because so many people were like, you know, you're really only supposed to weigh yourself once a week and whatever. And then that way for you guys, I'm not talking about it all the time. And I'm not just being like, oh, I lost, you know, 1.5 pounds. Oh, I gained 3 pounds. Oh, I lost 2 pounds. Because I know that's annoying and I know you're not supposed to do it that way. And I know so much of it has to do with water weight gain and muscle, or water weight loss and water, yeah, you know what I'm talking about. And, you know, a lot of it has to do with like muscle gain or whatever. And so I'm only gonna do it once a week, and it'll be on Tuesdays that I do it on here. And, but I am gonna talk about some of the things that I eat and whatever. Because like I said last night, I was so surprised that people were really that interested in like the Morningstar patties. It really kind of surprised me, honestly. The first time that I ever worked out in a gym, like, I mean, I had worked out, but like I was serious about it, was when my very first boyfriend and I moved in with my good friend, and the three of us lived, and she actually worked in a gym. She worked at Gold's Gym at that time, and she was in fantastic shape. And he worked out at a gym all the time too, like every day. And the three of us lived in this apartment. It was like, I lived in this apartment complex forever, but I lived in different apartments in there. I lived in there with 2 different boyfriends actually, and I lived in there by myself. But he and I, and she lived in there, and so I worked out in this little gym that they had. And I talked about this on here the other day, but it was like 2 Stairmasters, 2 treadmills, 2 bikes, and then like a machine in the middle, and then free weights, right? And I got like Men's Health or Men's Fitness magazine, because there was an article in there about like, it was like in January or December issue, and it was like 8 exercises to get your complete body back in shape, or to get, you know, like complete body makeover or something like that. And it was 8 free weight exercises. And well, actually it was like the pull down, and then it was like what do you call it, oh, I can't think of what it's called, but there was like 3 exercises that were on the machine, and then like 5 exercises that were like free weights, and then cardio it had on there too, and it had it like scripted out by like the days that you did what and like how you did it, and then it had a chart and everything, and I just copied the chart in a notebook, and that's what, and I even like had it cut out. I probably have it in my basement somewhere. I had it cut out and with this magazine, and then I kept it in like the envelope of my little notebook, and then I took the notebook with me to the gym like every time I went, and I just did those exercises and I just checked them off, and that's what I'm doing now. Just kind of from memory, I remember like which exercises I did, and So like if you're looking for, you know, like a basic gym exercise out there, there's all kinds of them. Plus, you know, I have several friends of mine that are really into fitness, and I've asked them, you know, like, would you help me come up with like a fitness plan and stuff? And they're always like, yeah, absolutely, you know. This one friend of mine, he was like, this is like probably just like 3 or 4 years ago too. I mean, he's a lot younger. He's in his mid to late 20s. But he was like chubby. And when I met him, and he is like bodybuilder. I mean, he does like bodybuilder competitions and stuff now. And whenever I talk to him, like, girls go crazy. They like, these girls love him. And he never has a girlfriend. He's had like one girlfriend since I've known him. But anyway, he's always like, you and Alex need to find a girlfriend for me. You need to hook me up with a girlfriend. And real nice guy too, very successful. But every time I ask him, and I'm like, you know, like, if you could give like one piece of wisdom to people like wanting to get in great shape, what would you say? And he always says it all starts in the kitchen. And I'm like, okay, so it's all about the food. He's like, it's all about the food. You have to be, you know, it's all about what you're putting in your body, and watching that, and, you know, eating things that are like high protein and low calorie, low fat. And he's like, you know, it's all about what you're putting in your body. Which I guess I know, you know, but for me, honestly, it's like, that's kind of the hardest part for me sometimes, especially when I talk about like having a food addiction and all that. It's just, it's a struggle for me, you know. It's like some days are easier than others. Today was really easy. I couldn't believe it. I mean, it's not like I ate super healthy at brunch. I mean, let's just be for real, right? But anyway, I'm excited for Thanksgiving. Not for the eating, but I'm excited to see my cousin and her husband and son. And then I asked Alex today, I said, are we doing something with your family? He was like, yep. And I said, well, do you know what time it is? And he was like, no. He was like, but let me find out, and then we can arrange it with Caroline. And I was like, okay. I don't have any really big plans this week. I want to start cleaning out the closet a little bit. Tanya is so good at that stuff. Like, she'll take a day and like, she'll just clean out 2 huge spaces, and then the next day she'll clean out another 2 huge places. I'm like, what are you doing? She'll be like, I'm cleaning out my clothes closet, and I'm cleaning out the garage. And then she'll get the whole thing done. And I'm like, oh my God. I wish I had that kind of attitude about things. I still haven't cleaned the windows yet, you guys. That'll happen this week. That'll happen one day this week. I think because it's like colder outside, and whenever I step outside in our neighborhood, there's always like fireplaces going and you can smell them. And it really kind of feels like snow outside. It's 38 right now, which is not as cold as it was, but it's been kind of that all day today. It's been cooler today. And probably partly because I can smell evergreen coming through the heater right now with my air freshener. But I think that's why I'm in such a Christmassy mood this year. Alex got in the car today for brunch, and he was like, are you listening to Christmas music? I was like, yeah, you can turn it off if you want. He was like, okay. He quickly turned it off. He's like, it's a little too soon for that. I said, that's what people say, but, you know, you gotta get it while the getting's good, and it's Christmas. What do you guys want for Christmas this year? You know, I used to be somebody back in the day that I'd always have like these dream items that I wanted for Christmas and whatever, you know. I just like, there's just really not anything that I want that bad for Christmas anymore, you know what I mean? I mean, sure, there's like superficial items that I would like to have, but I mean, not even really that much. Like, it's not like, there's nothing that I have to have that I can't live without, you know what I mean? got sober that a friend of mine would say, and it was help me to want what I already have. And I think that when you practice gratitude on, you know, a regular basis, it kind of puts everything in perspective, and you realize, like, I don't need a bunch of shit anymore, you know? Would I like some stuff? Sure. Like, you know, I mean, I go out and I buy the shoes and the cologne and all that kind of stuff, but, you know, I don't need it. I mean, I'd be completely fine with what I have at home. I mean, other than, like, I mean, there are some things I need, like, but even those needs aren't really needs. Like, when you say, like, oh, I need cologne. Well, no, you don't really need cologne. You know, you don't really need it. But, you know, I think we get that idea in our heads of things that we've gotten used to, like whether it's makeup or, you know, a certain kind of coat in the winter, or, you know, even things at the grocery store, you know, like, well, I need this, well, I need coffee creamer, or I need that. You know, if you think about things that you don't really need, you know, you don't really need coffee, you know? And then when you take a look at what your needs are and what your wants are, it puts everything else in perspective. And that doesn't mean that you don't have those things you want. That doesn't mean that at all, right? Like, I'm not gonna ever try to be that person. I mean, I'm happy that there are people out there that, you know, live with bare walls, don't have televisions, and, you know, like, are Puritan souls. That's not me. Like, I think that's fantastic, you know? People that kind of, like, are minimalists and live off the grid. I think there's something kind of very attractive about that lifestyle, but that's just not me. And it just, I mean, I enjoy a good cup of coffee, obviously, you know. I like getting new things from time to time, but I also have to be realistic with myself. And, you know, getting your debt paid off, when you do that, like, one of the things you realize is that it is much more enjoyable if you have debt, you know, but it is much more enjoyable to live within your means and not have a lot, versus live outside of your means and really struggle, you know? I've had so many friends of mine that, like, you know, carry the expensive purses, and they are constantly going on expensive trips. I mean, and I'm talking like once every 6 weeks, expensive trips, you know? And they drive like the high-end cars, you know, and, you know, Range Rovers and Porsches and things like that, and, you know, brand new Mercedes. And I'm like, and I'm thinking to myself, now I'm sure they make good money, but do they make that good of money, you know? Like, and it's just, I'm like, how do they afford this? And they act like everything's fine, and then one day, you know, it's like, they break down, and they're like, we are so much in debt, you know, I don't know what we're gonna do, and we're gonna have to sell our house. And I'm like, God, it's so sad, you know? I just don't need that much shit. I think to some degree that's why, like, with some of these YouTubers that I watch, you know, and they go in and they buy like a $10,000 Gucci bag or something, like, it's kind of intriguing to me, because I would love to go into Gucci and buy a $10,000 bag, but I don't need a $10,000 bag from Gucci, you know what I mean? And I almost even think that, like, if I had the money right now to do that, like, I probably wouldn't. I don't know, maybe I would, but, like, I don't... It's just like that stuff kind of, like, loses. I mean, I think it's beautiful, some of it. You know, I love fashion, I love design. You know, I think some of the stuff that I see is beautiful. Especially when you, like, you know, you talk about, like, but, like, most of the stuff that I think is beautiful is not stuff that, I mean, obviously I'm ever going to wear, because it's like couture or atelier fashion, you know, that you're, I mean, that is obviously made for women typically, you know, and, have you guys seen that? Have you guys ever seen the movie? It is such a cool movie. It's so beautiful. about, I don't even think he's a creative director there anymore, but the new creative director of Dior, and it's his very first show that he ever does, and it's the show where he has the white roses all across the walls when you walk in. It's amazing. And it goes in there and shows like the people that work for him and the people that sew for him, and you know, the designing of the, it's surreal, you know. I think the true art of, it's like one of my favorite designers, and not just because he's on Project Runway, is Zach Posen, and I follow him on Instagram, and I mean, some of these dresses that he does and he'll have on there, I'm just like, they're literal moments. And I know that sounds cheesy, but like, and I love that he always uses navy blue, because I love navy blue dresses on women. I think they're beautiful. And I think, like, you know, and then there's stuff I like I was like watching the Real Housewives in Orange County the other day, and Kelly was on there, and Kelly had on like this Gucci sweater, and then she had a matching like Gucci fanny pack, and I was like, well, that's cute. And I'm thinking, yeah, that's cute. That sweater probably was $1,200, and the fanny pack was probably $1,500 to $2,000 or something. You know what I mean? Like, cute. $3,500. It's like a salary for people in a month. You know what I mean? It's like, but anyway, I think that's why like a lot of YouTubers or a lot of celebrities are intriguing, you know, for me to watch sometimes, or probably for all of us. You know, it's like they live this lifestyle that a lot of us out there won't ever probably live, you know? And I think it's intriguing to watch. I don't know. What do you guys think about that stuff? You know, I've met people in life, where am I at on time? I've met people in life that have financially a lot and are very happy. But I've equally met people in life that are very, very happy and have very, very little. So obviously, you know, your happiness in life has nothing to do with your, you know, material or financial or superficial, you know, elements in your life. It doesn't have anything to do with that whatsoever. So it's gonna stop. Hold on a second. In fact, I think some of the people that I have known that are the most miserable are the people that have the most financially. Why do you think that is? I think there's something to be said for working for something, you know? I remember when I was growing up and I was like in high school, and my dad had this table in his like, so in their kitchen, like when you walk in, it's like my dad has this huge kitchen, and they spend a lot of time in there, and it's like half of it is like the kitchen area, and the other half is like a great room, you know, like where you sit and there's couches and a fireplace and stuff like that. My dad always wanted to have a kitchen with a fireplace, so now he has. And it's real cozy, it's fun. So anyway, that's where we like watch TV and stuff when I was growing up. Well, there's this table in there, and he had gotten this table at his apartment when he and my mom got separated. And it's just like wood, it's not even that big of a deal. It's like this wood table, and I mean, to him it's a big deal, but if you saw it, you wouldn't be like, oh my God. Anyway, I don't even think actually the table was ever that expensive to begin with. I think it was just what it meant to him. And it's this wood table, and in the middle of it is this like slate, this black slate, and it has this carving of a sailboat in it, and like all of this old sailboat, because my dad loves anything to do with sailing, anything nautical my dad loves. And then on the side it's like all the information about the sailboat. Okay, so I would sit on the couch in the living room when I got home from like school in high school, and I would like be eating, and I would have my feet up on that table, and my dad would come in from work, literally would go crazy, and he would be like, get your feet off that table. He was like, there's an ottoman right over there. He was like, put your feet on the ottoman. He was like, when you're old enough to be able to, and working hard enough to be able to afford that table, then you can put your feet on that table. But you know, like I can remember the very first time I ever, like my very first paycheck I got when I worked in treatment, and it was so low. And like, you know, like, I say this in my personal life, so shit, I'll say it here. You know, I dealt drugs, and it was easy money. Dealing drugs was easy money, okay? And I wasn't even any good at it, you know? And I'm not proud of that. Like, obviously, as a person in sobriety, I'm not proud of that at all. But, you know, to go from that, to go from what I made in, like, a couple hours, easily maybe, to what I made in 2 weeks, busting my ass as a tech in a treatment program, because I started off as a tech, you know, and that was hard. But I can remember getting that first paycheck and being like, I earned this. Like, I earned this paycheck. You know what I mean? And I was like so proud of myself that I had earned that paycheck. And I got it. Like, you know, I started understanding, you know, like when I would buy things for my apartment or whatever, that, you know, like I got what my dad meant when he said, get your feet off that table. And when you can, you know, and I'm like, what? And I would say to him, like, what's the big deal? Like, you know, and he'd be like, well, first of all, don't ever speak back to your father like that. My dad did not like that kind of stuff. And, but my dad is very much about respect. And he's also somebody that, like, he doesn't really care about your age or anything like that. Like, if you respect him, he'll respect you, or vice versa. My dad's always somebody that, like, you know, and I think I got this from my dad, that, like, if you show somebody respect first, you know? People always say, like, well, why should I respect you if you don't respect me? It's like, well, it's got to start somewhere. Okay, fine. So here, I'll show you some respect. I'll be respectful of you, you know? We're not always great at that. No, I'm not either. But, like, you know, it's like one of those things to work on. But I remember that being in high school at that table. Gosh. I was thinking about that the other day because, like, my dad and my stepmom always had great food when I was growing up in their house. Like, I don't know what got me thinking about that. Something I was talking about on here, but, like, they always had, like, deli food. They always had, like, different kinds of cheese, you know, but it was, like, good cheese, like deli cheese. Do you know what I'm talking about? Like, for sandwiches. And they would always have, like, whole wheat bread, really good whole wheat bread. And then they had this Durkee's mustard that I absolutely love to put on sandwiches. And so I would come home after school and I would make, and they had these, like, kettle barbecue chips. I haven't seen this brand. I don't know what brand it is, but I haven't seen them in forever, and I used to love them. And I would literally sit there and make a little picnic, and I would get, like, the bag of potato chips out, and then I would make, like, a turkey sandwich, and they always had juice and milk. I mean, my dad just always had, like, really, like, healthy food in his house. I mean, not like that's the healthiest food in the world, but, like, you know, it wasn't like I was coming home and eating, like, 20 cookies. I was eating, like, a turkey sandwich. Okay. Well, I accidentally shut the camera off, or shut the recording button off, but then it said lens error because I, like, tried to move it with my thumb, and I hit the lens, and I pushed it in, and then it went beep, 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 beep. Okay, so anyway, I was talking about, it doesn't matter, I was talking about my dad's house, and they always had healthy food. I mean, they always had, like, fruit and things like that. I don't know, maybe what I consider healthy food, because I've been such an unhealthy eater most of my life, but, you know, they'd have, like, blocks of cheese and pretzels, and they always had, like, a big, you know, canister of pretzels, and I mean, obviously they had chips and stuff like that, so it wasn't like it was super healthy, but it wasn't like, you know, they had, you know, tons of, like, Twinkies and cookies and ice cream and stuff like that, you know what I mean? Now, when I was a little kid and I would, like, go over to my dad to his apartment, he would always let me pick out the cookies that I wanted, and I would always pick out these mint cookies that were like Oreos, and they were called grasshoppers. And those were, like, my favorite cookies as a kid. I don't know why, but... And then when I was at my mom's house during the week, I would go to Wendy's with my good friend, and she and I would go there, like, a lot. And I would get a double cheeseburger plain with a large fry and a Frosty. My parents parents were really cool when I was growing, like when I was, especially in high school and I could drive, so that would have been like my last 2 years, about where I wanted to be. Like, you know, if it was a weekend that I wanted to be at my dad's house, or, you know, like typically because my dad lived about, you know, 25 minutes away from like my mom or my friends, if it was like a weekend that I had like a lot of stuff planned with my friends, I would just stay with my mom. And because I didn't want to have to like drive all the way back out there, you know, late at night. And my parents just didn't care, you know. Or if it was a weekend that I wanted to go to my dad's house or something, you know, like in the spring and in the summer a lot, because my dad had a pool or the boat or whatever. If I wanted to take my friends out boating on the weekend or whatever, you know, he would be like, I would tell my mom and be like, I'm gonna go to dad's for the weekend. She'd be like, that's fine. I mean, they just didn't really care, you know. They were so cool about it. You know, or I might go to my dad's on the weekend, but then like my mom would have, like, we'd have a Sunday dinner at my Aunt Kathy's house and I'd go over there. They just were very awesome about that. I don't know. And I think the whole time that I was growing up too, you know, it's like, I just don't ever remember. Maybe they did and I didn't see it, but I don't believe that they did. I never heard it. I never sensed it. But they never argued about who had me when. You know what I mean? Like, they were just, and they always parented on the same page. I mean, if there was like a problem at school, like, you know, a parent-teacher meeting or something, like, especially when I was younger, both parents would come. And, you know, I didn't know this till later. My dad sat on a lot of boards in Indianapolis when I was growing up, and he would like reschedule board meetings and things so that he could come to like every play I did, every athletic activity that I had. I mean, my dad was amazing when I was growing up, and called me every day. Every day he called me to make sure that I was up and ready to go to school. But you know, they very much parented on the same page, and I think that, you know, it's interesting what I think I got out of that. And it was no mystery to me that they did not get along. Like, I knew that. I knew that they, you know, like, they would be respectful and civil to each other if they were together. Like, you know, when my dad would come and pick me up. Except for one time I remember, I think it was either my dad's girlfriend or it was my stepmom, but I'm almost positive it was my stepmom. And, but other than that, like, you know, my mom would always like come outside with me, and like you know, when I was taking my bag out, and she would say hi to my dad, and, you know, they would talk for a couple minutes, and she would tell him anything that he needed to know about school or something that had happened that day, you know, or homework that I might have to do or something when I was younger, like when I was a lot younger. But, you know, I think what it did for me was it made me, I mean, I know people are probably like, well, you've had 3 relationships in your life, so it doesn't prove that you've had that. But I mean, those relationships that I've had have been pretty healthy relationships the majority of the time, you know. Yeah, towards the end, things weren't great, but I think it really taught me, you know, the ability to be able to have healthy relationships in dire situations. I will tell you this, like, it always makes me very sad, and I have a lot of friends, typically women, that can't stand their exes, and, you know, and I'll be honest, like, I do not know how I would handle another person parenting my child. Like, I just don't think that I could deal with that. And I think that's actually one of the reasons why, like, my mom and my dad, like, never really had any huge issues, because, you know, like, my stepmom never really tried to parent me. And I remember actually when I was older, she said, you know, we have a really special relationship because I'm not your mother and I'm not your friend and I'm not trying to be either one of those. And she's like, but I can be something that isn't your mother and isn't your friend, and that's that I'm your step parent. And she was like, you know, and it's a really special relationship. And it was true, you know, like, you know, she would give me a lot of really great advice, you know, especially in talking to, like, my mom or my dad. Like, I would say to her, you know, like, I don't know how to talk to dad, and she would say, you know, Peter, this isn't a great week. Like, your dad's really busy. He's really stressed out, you know, like, have you thought about, you know, like, saying to him in the morning, like, mornings are better than at night, because in the morning he's starting his day, and if you catch him in the morning, and, you know, she would say things like that to me, you know, and she would say, you know, I would talk to your dad for you, but I think it would be better if it came from you. She would always say that to me, and, she just was awesome about it, you know, and And like she and my mom would talk, especially as I got older. Like they would arrange like rides for me, like home from school and things like that if I had to get picked up from school or something like that. And but I don't think that my mom was ever threatened by my stepmom. Because, you know, like my dad didn't meet her till like several years. It wasn't like, you know, my dad left my mom for her, if that makes sense. And I think that if that had been the case, or if my stepmom had tried to be my mom, like I think it would have been a completely different story. I mean, I think that, you know, the claws would have come out. Because my mom had a lot of friends that was the situation, you know, and I have friends of mine who's like, God, their exes, new wives or new girlfriends or whatever, they really, you know, they try to take over the role of being the mother. And the thing is it's like, yeah, I think many times in that situation, it's like, maybe the stepchild doesn't have the relationship with their parent, like, you know, their father or their mother that, you know, we see that we wish they did. But like, that's not necessarily the step-parent's role or the boyfriend-girlfriend's role to point that out. Like my stepmother did, you can be a support system to that, you know, and say like, hey, I know things, you know, like you don't have the relationship right now that you want with your mom, but things might improve. Like, what can you do, you know, that would help it out? Or are there ways that you could talk to her, you know, or would you like your dad to talk to her, you know? But I think what happens often is that people jump in and they go, well, I'd make a better mother, you know? And if you don't think that happens, it does. I see it happen all the time. I've seen my friends do it, actually, and I've also seen it happen to my friends, men and women, you know? And I think often, like, it's just, I think it's a situation of feeling completely powerless, you know? Especially when the ex, like, gets involved in a relationship and then moves into, like, this dream home or takes these dream vacations. And I do think to some degree that was kind of hard for my mom, you know? Like, I would go on all these vacations with my dad, and she just, you know, my mother just, she wouldn't. She didn't. She was afraid to fly, and she didn't really know how to organize, you know, trips like that. She just didn't, you know? And I think that she would have done those things if she could have, but I think it scared her. And so, you know, when I would come back from a vacation and my mom would have to hear about it, I mean, later in life, she said to me, you know, it's painful. You don't have to bring me a souvenir from your trips with your dad and stepmom, you know, like, I appreciate it, but like, you know, no thanks. I don't know, but I just feel really blessed about that. It's like, I was aware that they didn't like each other, and I don't even know if it's that. I mean, you know, like, I think they respected each other. You know, my dad said to me one time, he goes, you know, Peter, he goes, your mother and I were very, very much in love. Not just in love, but we were like passionately in love. And he was like, and then we passionately fell out of love. And so, you know, imagine, you know, then that, you know, my dad spoke at my mom's funeral, and one of the things that he said there was, he said, you know, he talked about their relationship, and he said that, you know, it was very toxic at the end for both of them, and that the one great thing that came out of it was me. So, I don't know, that kind of makes me emotional, but you know, like, that's like something that, like, honestly, like in real life can like emotionally kind of like move me, is when I sit there and I listen to friends of mine, and they're either in situations where like they have, you know, an ex that's just like not being real fair to them with the kids, or I have a friend of mine that is like in that role where they're doing that, you know, and I'm like, just stop it, you know, like, it's like the kids are the ones that are affected, like, don't affect the kids, you know? It just makes me sad. And I think that, you know, like, my view of relationships is somewhat, I don't know, a little healthier, because my parents actually thought that shit out and talked about it. You know, it wasn't like they just were like, we'll never get along and we hate each other for life. You know what I mean? Like, and I know people like that. I have friends of mine that, like, their parents have been divorced for 20 years and they still like fight all the time, you know? It's like, Alex's mom and dad do not get along. They do not get along, okay? When Alex's dad came here to visit, like, he didn't, and he was remarried at the time, right? And so was she. Like, she was gonna offer for him to come and stay at her house, and Alex and his brother were like, absolutely not, right? But I had never met him, okay? And his dad dad is better with it now. But I wouldn't say that I think that his dad was like the most accepting of the gay stuff at first, and me. And I don't think he really understood it, you know. And but then he came to visit, and when he came to visit, we had like everybody over to our house. We had like all the cousins on his dad's side, because all of Alex's cousins from his dad's side live here and stuff. And, you know, Alex's dad and his new wife, and, you know, of course they don't speak any English whatsoever, so they don't understand what I'm saying, and I, you know, very little Spanish. And we're all sitting there, and Alex's mom came, and she brought her sister Jackie and her mom, and she said, and she goes, Peter, I'm coming for you. She was like, because you need my emotional support. And she was like, and, you know, I get along pretty well with him because, you know, up till a couple years ago, I mean, she still talked to him because of like Fufu and stuff like that, being in college and all that kind of stuff. But, you know, and they were able to put their differences aside for their kids. And I think that's fantastic, you know, like, I think that's amazing. But I don't think it's easy. I think it's hard. You know, I think it's hard to do that and put your differences aside with your partner, you know, because I think you're super protective of kids, you know, but then at the same time, you have to ask yourself, like, is what I'm doing helping or is it hurting a situation? I don't know. You know, and equally, too, like, if I got mad at my mom, my dad would say to me, you don't ever disrespect your mother. You don't ever disrespect your mother. Your mother is very good to you. She cooks for you. She, you know, does this for you. She does that for you, whatever. You know, she loves you very, very much. You don't ever disrespect your mother. And then, like, equally with my dad, if I would say something about my dad, my mother would say, you don't ever disrespect your father. You know, your father works very, very hard. You know, he provides for you. He loves you. And I think that was important, you know. They didn't role model negativity towards each other. Like, it's weird because only one time do I remember, well, 2 times. When my dad left, because he told my mom he was going to leave like 3 months before. I don't know why anybody would do that, but he did. And I think he thought he was helping her get prepared or something, but the night that he actually left, I remember that night. I've talked about it on here, I think, when I walked around the cul-de-sac and it was snowing, and my dad, it was in January, and the neighbor across the street, like, she came over, and she, like, the neighbor daughter that I was friends with, and we walked around the cul-de-sac and sang Christmas carols until my dad left. And then her mom, like, went back over to the house and checked on my mom. It was just, that night was a mess. And then there was a Christmas, like the Christmas after that, my dad came and tried to be part of all of that. That was a mess. Oh my God. And then, that was horrible. And I've talked about that on here before too. And then there was one other incident that I remember when they were talking on the phone. And, but these are like, you know, those 2 happened like the first year that my parents got separated. And then the next one happened like years later. And I walked in and my mom didn't know I was in the house, and she and my dad were like screaming at each other on the phone, and my mom was like, you SOB, and blah, 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 and all this kind of stuff. And I just stood there in the doorway, and she turned around and she looked at me, and I said, do you have any idea what is, true story, this is what I said. I said, do you have any idea what it feels like to be the product of so much anger? And I just turned and walked away. So I must have been like in high school when that happened, late junior high or high school or something. I mean, that doesn't really sound like a 6th grade statement, does it? And I know that's what I said, so it must have been like high school. But other than that, you know, I mean, there's a few moments, but I don't think like when my dad and my stepmom started dating, my mom was happy about it. You know, my stepmom is much younger than my dad, and 78, I think there's like 21, 22 year age difference. 20, 22, somewhere in between 20 and 22 year age difference. And, oh, well, I know exactly what the difference is. Okay, so She's 12 years older than me, so she'll be 58. So they're 28. So they're 20 years difference. Isn't that weird that I know the age difference between my stepmom and I, but I don't know the age difference between my dad and I? Which is funny because, like, if you saw them today, like, I mean, my stepmom looks good for her age, but you wouldn't, I think that they looked drastically so different. I mean, she doesn't, like, have white hair or anything like that. I mean, she's, you know, my stepmom loves the makeup. Well, let's just tell you, okay, like, when we go out to have brunch and lunch and stuff with them, and we're talking about all the makeup gurus and all kind of stuff, she knows all of them. She knows all of them. And she is her favorites. And but I think it's because my dad looks younger. My dad looks like he's in his, like, mid to late 60s. So, I don't know. I feel blessed though that they didn't really argue a whole lot, you know? I can remember some friends of mine when I was growing up, and, you know, like, they were down the street from us, and they were, like, literally, like, the family, you know? And then they weren't the family anymore. And, you know, like, the mom and dad would scream and shout at each other, like, in the driveway, in the front yard, and stuff like that, and throw shit, you know, and the kids were sitting out there playing, and I'm thinking, like, I don't even get this. And I was, like, a kid, you know, like, my parents never acted that way. Except for, like, the night that my dad left, and, you know, maybe, but this would happen all the time with these people. I think we sometimes don't really realize that those things that happen to us when we're kids, you know, really, really affect us long-term for a long time. You know, there are situations that I'll be in today, or just stupid situations even, you know, and I'll think back to, like, an exact moment of, like, when I was, like, in elementary school of something that happened, and it will remind me of that, you know, and, or, like, the feeling is similar inside. And I talked about this on here. This is funny that this is coming up because I hadn't thought about this for a while, but one of my friends said this in a meeting one night, and I thought this was such a fantastic idea, and then I had taken it to my sponsor, I think. Well, I don't remember how it all came up, but anyway, she said, like, when you have a feeling inside of you that you're going through, and you're like, this feeling feels familiar, and I don't like it. Like, if it's an uncomfortable feeling that you've had, and, like, you don't like it, right? You ask yourself, when was the last time I felt this feeling? And then you go back to that. And then you think to yourself, and once you've, like, worked through that and journaled on it and been inventoried, you ask yourself, okay, when's the last time that I felt that? And you go back, and you go back, and you go back, and you try to find out where that feeling originates. And then that's the issue, you know, that you got to work on, because that's the issue that you, to some degree, have to unbox, you know, and not unbox, but that's the issue that you have to, you know, unpack and work through and be like, okay, that initial feeling of, you know, being at the lunch table when all the kids turned on me, you know, like that day they all turned on me, you know, I walked into the cafeteria and I was everybody's friend. I walked out of the cafeteria, nobody wanted anything to do with me anymore. You know what I mean? Like, you have to look at that and go, okay, that it goes all the way back to that. And I think it's hard, you know, when you look at that stuff, because I really don't think that life is made up with 100 different kinds of complicated issues. I really think that life is really about 5 different things that have maybe happened to us over the course of our lives, and it all originates with those 5 issues. And I think people that are happier in life just don't have emotional attachments to some things as much as others do. Like, I'm somebody that has a lot of emotional attachments to things in my life, you know? And so, there's, like, this big, like, service truck up here. I don't know what it is. It's like, looks like it's working on an electric line or something. What are they doing here? I can't tell if he's telling me to come by. Oh yeah, he is with a flashlight. Is there, like, electricity on or something? But, you know, like, I'll say something to Tanya, and she'll say, I just don't have that big of an emotional attachment to those things. And that's something that I've started saying, you know, like I got that from her. I started saying that about 2 years ago, you know, because I just don't. There are some things in my life that I'm just like, I have no emotional attachment to this issue. I just, none whatsoever, you know, like, I just don't, it's just not that deep. You know what I mean? Like, and that's kind of where that statement comes from. It's just not that deep. It's like, but just because I don't have an emotional attachment to something doesn't mean that somebody else can't. I mean, those are all personal feelings and emotions, right? But I do think that, and so like things that I would have a personal attachment to or do you guys know what I mean by that, by an emotional attachment? Okay, what that means is that like, somebody in your life or something that, okay, so if it's somebody in your life, it's like what they do to you, it's like it either really makes you happy or it really makes you sad or it really hurts your feelings, but like everything they do like affects you, okay? So basically what you're saying is you have a real emotional attachment to this person, okay? Or it can be an event. It can be something that happened, you know, like being in college or, you know, like a house that you lived in or a relationship that you're in or whatever, right? But what I think is that people that have, I think, realistic expectations and probably not as much of an emotional attachment to things as maybe I do at times appear a little happier in life because they don't get their feelings hurt as easily. Okay, I just have to show you something here for a second. But anyway, they don't get their feelings hurt as easily, right? And they seem to have, I don't know, just like much more realistic did I just say that? Much more realistic expectations about how the world works. And so then when something happens and I get real upset about it, they're like, yeah, but I mean, okay. You know what I mean? Like if I say to Tanya about somebody, I'll be like, well, doesn't that piss you off? And she'll be like, no, I mean, I just don't have that big of an emotional attachment. I don't have that much of an emotional attachment to them. You know, I just, you know, a lot has happened and I don't feel the same way that I did, you know, 5 or 10 years ago versus, you know, like somebody else. And I'll be like, and she'll be like, yeah, really. That time it went all the way through. I didn't stop it. But she'll, you know, she'll say, yeah, you know. And then there are people that I think it's appropriate to have an emotional attachment about, like family members, close friends, things like that. You know, some coworkers that we've worked with for a long time. But I think there are other people that it's like, why do you have to ask yourself, why do you have this emotional attachment to them, you know? Why are we letting this person get under our skin that much and rent space in our head for free? Okay, I gotta show you guys something. This is so fantastic and this will be kind of fun. So, McNamara Florist, do you see, is where my mom and my aunt always went. And it's local in Indianapolis. It started with one floristry, okay? They will come to your house and they will decorate your house for Christmas, okay? I've known people that have done it. I think my Aunt Kathy had them do it 1 year. Let me just show you. Are you ready for the Christmas extravaganza that you're about to see? This store smells so good. Look at that in there. Do you see that? This store smells so good. I'm actually gonna get out and just kind of show you. Do you see this? They have all their Christmas trees up. Hold on a second. First of all, this place has like the nicest flowers in the world. Do you guys see in there? Look. It is a Christmas extravaganza. Look at all that. That is so cool. So if you're in Indiana and you've never been, look at that, and you've never been to McNamara Florist before, you have to come to McNamara Florist. Now, I will tell you, it's extremely expensive. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? Look at that tree. I love that tree. That's so pretty. Let's see. I was trying to see what the price on this. See, like that little thing right there? That's $79. God. Oh, some of their ornaments aren't too bad. Isn't that stuff so cute in there? Oh, look at that. I love all the wood stuff. I love that. Isn't it so cool? Hello. It's Christmas time. Can you imagine? I would love just to call them up and go, McNamara, this is Peter Monn. Could you come decorate my house, please? Okay, and they'll come and take it all down for you, too. Probably for $5 grand. When I first started dating Alex, he loves like tropical plants, and I would go into McNamara, and he's not a big flower person either, which is really interesting. I should do this and surprise him, because I haven't done this for him in a while. I think I'm gonna do that for him next week. But what is tomorrow? Tomorrow's Monday. Oh, I'll go in and I'll do it tomorrow, and I'll have them delivered on Tuesday. Okay, but when we first started dating, I would like go into Mac. Okay, so this is what I would do. So we were like a one-car family when we first started dating, because right before I started dating Alex, he got in a really bad car accident and his car was totaled. So I would drive him to work and school, okay, when we started dating. And I would drop him off at work, and then I would go and I would surprise him. He liked these breakfast pizzas from Einstein Bagels, and they were like bagels that you would like open, and then they made them into like these pizza things. I don't know, but anyway, he loved them. So I would go get him. I need to pull in here really quick and see if my vlog is uploaded yet, because if it is, and I need to get home ASAP to get that up, because it is some ridiculous time, 10:32. Hold on. Dun, 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 dun. It's still not up. This is ridiculous, you guys. I am so sorry. I hope I get it up before midnight. I bet you somebody has tweeted me and said, where's the vlog? I bet you anything. Anusha asked, where's the vlog? Okay. I put, ha ha ha, you'll know why I'm laughing tomorrow. It's coming, promise. What was I gonna say? Oh, so I would go and I would take him these pizza things from Einstein's. But when I like go in, I would make my order at Einstein's. So Einstein's is a bagel place. I would make my order at Einstein's, and then I can just go out this way, can't I? This is stupid. Hardee's, one of my favorite fast food restaurants in the entire world. But then I would go over to McNamara, and I would put in an order for these tropical flowers, you know, those birds of paradise and all that kind of madness. He loves all that. And I would have them to be delivered that day, and then I would bring him the pizza for breakfast, and then I would leave. That would be our little morning. And then, what was I gonna say? And then I would, did you ever get sidetracked? I'm like, is this like, you know, like, I sometimes feel like I can't talk about adult things on here like married folk. You know what I mean? I'm a married man. I can talk about what I want to talk about on here. Do y'all remember when you were first dating and y'all would get intimate and get busy in the morning all the time? Why is it not focusing? Do you remember that? Who has time for that when you've been together 10 years, okay? There's somebody out there, they're like, oh, we do every morning. I'm like, yeah, you're the most fantastic marriage in the world then. Okay, anyway, but I would do that, and then like a couple days a week, I would go and take him Chipotle, and we would eat Chipotle together for lunch. Nah, I don't do that so much anymore. Those are like early kind of relationship things, you know what I mean? I should do that though. That would be funny. I'll surprise him with the flowers, and then I'll get him an Einstein bagel pizza. It's basically just like 2 bagels, and then they bake them, and then they put like marinara sauce on them and something else and some cheese or something. I don't know why they call them a pizza. I don't even think they have them anymore. My God, I forgot my glasses were over here. I better put them in their case before they break. I wear my sunglasses at night. I'm crazy, aren't I? Are you guys ready for all the holiday reviews? Because guess what? When you go for a snap and you can't snap because they're coming. They are coming, and I am so excited. I'm so excited, and I just can't hide it. I don't think I'm gonna maybe work out at the gym anymore. I might, I don't know. I was really feeling it earlier, but now I'm kind of pissed about this vlog. I just want this vlog to be done. I want to get it done and get it up. I mean, it's 10:30, almost 11 o'clock. I'm like, come on. This has been going on all day long today. It better not be stuck in processing again, and I'll tell you what, I have a little trick for that, but it's not been working today. Tomorrow is Veterans Day, so thank you to those of you out there that served in our military, and thank you to those families. If you're part of a family of veterans, thank you. And I don't think it's something that you really understand until it's affected you, like personally, like you've personally gone through family or close friends. Like, I didn't really understand it. Like, I had friends of mine whose, siblings or kids were in the service, but I didn't really understand it until Tanya's son was in the Marines. Like, I didn't really get it. You know what I mean? The commitment, the patriotism that goes along with it, how hard it is, like what they go through that we'll never know, even just in basic training, So thank you to everybody out there that served or is serving currently. And I think that, I don't know, I just don't think that we appreciate our servicemen and women as much as maybe we could. And I think it's important to, remember them. So thank you to all of you out there. Actually, since you'll be watching this on Veterans Day, if you have a family member or a husband or wife or sister, parent, whatever, put it below. And thank you for being a family member, or thank you to you for, your service. I was talking in my video the other day about the wildfires in California, and it's like so tragic. It is just so many dead from it, so many evacuated from their house. Oh, Alex, one of his very good friends that used to live here, this other Sarah, she and her husband and their baby were evacuated from their home. They can see the flames from their back door. And she called Alex tonight and said it's horrible. It's so weird. It's like, when you live in Indiana, it's like if you've lived somewhere all your life where there aren't tornadoes, it's probably similar. Like, you can't really explain it. Like, I can't even fathom how scary that is, or what that's like. I have, like, it's like earthquakes are the same thing. Because I just never have really, we've supposedly had earthquakes here, but I've never felt them, But, like, I just have no idea what that would be like. And it just looks, when you look at the news footage, it looks terrifying, you know, and people losing their homes and their lives. And it just is so sad, you guys. It just is so, so sad. So if you're out there, please be safe. I'm sending my love and prayers out to you guys. Please stay as safe as you possibly can. And it's just so tragic. It's so tragic. It's weird, you know, like I was saying, it's like in Indiana, it's like, you know, I've experienced, you know, 5 to 10 feet of snow. I've experienced sleet, ice, you know, electricity going out because of the weather. I've experienced, you know, tornadoes, seen tornadoes, you know, touch the ground while you're driving. Now that's some scary shit. Oh my God, the battery's low. But I've never seen anything like that. So I can't even in a million years imagine what it would be like, you know? So put a little prayer out there, some positivity into the world, and let's hope that people stay safe and no more people are hurt. All right, you guys, listen, I'm going to get off of here because my battery is dying, so I'm going to end it here. I hope you guys are having a fantastic Monday. And if you have a job where you don't have to work today because you're off for Veterans Day, I hope you're enjoying it, doing something fun, like staying inside and catching up on 3 hours of my vlog because my other one didn't get posted till late. And I love you guys, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.